What's up y'all, BK back here with another paddle review, and in this video we're going to be reviewing a paddle that's probably going to change the market in a very big way. The innovation and technology on this paddle is something that has been needed for a long time in the pickleball space, so without further ado, let's go ahead and review the CRBN TruFoam Genesis. Now before we continue, just a disclosure, CRBN has not paid me to put out this review and no review is guaranteed. However, if you would like to purchase this paddle, I have a discount code with CRBN. You can use the code BK10 at CRBNPickleball.com, and any commission earned from that from my side just goes back to help supporting the channel. So if you do like this review and you end up wanting to buy a CRBN TruFoam Genesis, make sure to go to CRBNPickleball.com and use the code BK10 to save 10% off on this paddle. Now the CRBN TruFoam Genesis is a new paddle from CRBN Pickleball. This paddle has a very innovative core technology, something that has been much needed in the pickleball space. In 2024, we saw a lot of issues with delamination and core crushing, which caused a lot of people's paddles to break down much faster than anticipated. Paddles for me personally didn't last more than a month or two because the core would just crush and then I had no control over the ball. It became illegal to use at tournaments and so many other problems with those polypropylene honeycomb cores. So CRBN in this paddle has come up with a completely new core technology. They're calling it the Gen 4 technology of a completely foam core. So this core has no polypropylene honeycomb inside. It is just pure foam with holes cut out to either reduce the weight of the paddle or to add some more flex based on the placement of these holes. This paddle has potentially solved the whole core crushing issue in the paddle marketplace. So if you are someone that's looking for a very durable paddle that's going to last you a long time, while we haven't tested out the longevity of these paddles, these do seem like a fantastic option for that. CRBN has advertised this paddle as having no issues with core crushing, which causes this paddle to last a very, very long time. So very interesting stuff from them here. If you are enjoying the content, please make sure to subscribe below. It does help us support the channel a lot. Almost 90% of viewers of this channel are not subscribed, so please make sure to hit that subscribe button and help support the channel so we can keep putting out more amazing content for y'all. Now, the number one talking point with this paddle is the durability and the new core that CRBN has come out with. The core is called the TruFoam, so the paddle is actually called the Genesis. The word TruFoam is simply the core construction on this paddle, so you may see future varieties of the same core that will still have the name TruFoam with a different model name, but specifically this paddle is called the CRBN TruFoam Genesis. Now this TruFoam technology is basically CRBN has used a very high density foam that has very little give, so the entire core is made up of foam. This means that there are no necessities to increase or decrease the thickness of the paddle, so a 14mm, 12mm, 16mm has very little effect on how the paddle plays. So CRBN has chosen to go with a 14mm core on all these designs. There are no core thickness options. Now this paddle comes in 3 different shapes. I leave the specifications of each shape up on the screen here so you can check them out for yourself, but just to give you a rundown, it is the same shapes as the original CRBN series. So you have the CRBN 1, CRBN 2, and CRBN 3 shape. Based on your play style, you might either want to go with the 1, 2, or 3 depending on how you play the game. Now the CRBN 1 is the elongated shape where you have that super long handle, mostly for tennis players and bangers that like that long handle, hit a lot of two-handed backhands. That is the shape that most people from that style of game would prefer. The CRBN 2 is more of that standard wide body shape where you have that bigger face, but total length is a little smaller than the CRBN 1 and the CRBN 3. So this is ideal for those that play more doubles than singles. You want a paddle that has a big sweet spot and a lot of pop and those quicker hands battles with that swing speed on the Carbon 2. The Carbon 3 is similar to the Carbon 1, just a shorter handle and slightly wider on the face. This is great for people that just prefer one-handed backhands and just play a single hand style of game. Personally, I play with a Carbon 3 shape. Even on the Yolas, I play with the Magnus shape. I do like that shorter handle, longer face. It's something that gives me a lot of control, and because I don't hit a lot of two-handed backhands, this is a perfect paddle for me. So based on your play style, go ahead and pick and choose which shape you would prefer. Now, what stands out with this paddle is because the core is made up of that foam, this high density foam allows for a lot of dwell time. So the ball really sits on the paddle face for a lot longer than most other paddles, giving you a really good feel for the ball. The feel on this paddle is exceptional, and because of that high dwell time, you do have a lot of spin that can be generated with this paddle. This paddle definitely tested in the upper echelons of the spin category, and for people that like to use a lot of spin, this will definitely be one of the favorites for 2025 with the Carbon TruFoam's high dwell time and that 5 layers of carbon fiber on the surface. You get tons of spin because of how long the ball sits on that paddle face. So if you do like to play a very spin heavy game style, definitely pick up a Carbon TruFoam. I would 100% recommend it for all those spin-based players out there. You can get a lot of shape on the ball with this paddle. For me personally, I love hitting those top spin drops. I have a big slice on my returns, and I love to hit heavy top spinning serves. So this paddle did a fantastic job on all of those. My drives felt effortless. I was able to get them to dip past the net really well. So from that standpoint, the spin game is super nice with this paddle. Definitely enjoyed playing with it. Now, diving into the pop and power of this paddle, when I first heard that they're coming out with a full foam core, I was expecting a lot of pop and a lot of power from this paddle, but this paddle definitely falls more towards that all-court style of paddle, maybe leaning a little bit towards the power side if you do add some weight to the paddle and really bring that paddle up to spec in terms of how you like to play. But right out of the box, the power on this paddle is nothing special. Definitely leaning more towards an all-court style of paddle. Allows you to play the soft game really well, and when you need that pop, you do get it for bigger swings on this paddle face. Now, what Carbon has done that's really interesting is that the face of this paddle is made up of 5 layers of carbon fiber, but under those 5 layers, there is a layer of fiberglass right in the middle of this paddle. So there's a square sheet of fiberglass right in the middle of the paddle. So when you do hit those heavy shots like putaways and big drives, what you're gonna have is that ball is gonna crush through those 5 layers of carbon fiber and then activate that fiberglass layer that's gonna give you that enhanced pop and power that you're looking for from those bigger swing shots. So when you're hitting slow touch shots, when you're hitting shots with shorter swings, short back swings, you're not gonna get that huge power from the paddle. But when you do have that bigger swing on the put away and the drive, this paddle does a really good job of activating that fiberglass layer and providing that enhanced pop on those shots. Very interesting technology. Personally, I just felt that because that fiberglass layer was only in the middle of the paddle, for shots that you might miss hit, I did feel the sweet spot was a little bit too small until I added the weight to enhance that sweet spot and really bring that paddle up in weight. The sweet spot did leave something to be desired for me from this paddle. So if you are looking for a paddle with a really big sweet spot, I would try and look elsewhere. The Carbon TruFoam really didn't do that for me personally. So that is something to look for with this paddle. But if you are someone that's able to consistently hit the middle of the paddle and you aren't worried about having a big sweet spot, similar to the Paddle Tech where I felt the Paddle Tech had a really small sweet spot, this one does have a bigger sweet spot than the Paddle Tech, but again, you are going to have to be able to control the ball and consistently hit the middle of the paddle to get the maximum value out of this paddle. Now, the price of this paddle comes out to $280, but you can use the code BK10 at carbonpickleball.com to save 10% on this paddle, bringing the price down to $252. Now, normally, I would say this is a little bit on the expensive side, but because this paddle does promise a much longer durability, I do believe Carbon has a 1-year warranty on these paddles as well, and their customer service has been fantastic, and I've had a lot of people tell me that their customer service is beyond outstanding. So if you are looking for a paddle that's going to last you a really, really long time, then the $252 price point over time does seem to be justified. I would definitely look towards getting this paddle, because if you do get this paddle, you wouldn't have to get a new paddle for a really, really long time, because there's no issue with core crushing from paddles in the past. So something to look for from that standpoint. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button below. It really does help support the channel. Almost 90% of viewers of this channel are not subscribed, so please make sure to hit that subscribe button to help support the channel so we can keep putting out some great pickleball content for you. Also follow me at BK_pickleball on Instagram, TikTok, or wherever else you get your pickleball content. I put a lot of pickleball content out on those platforms as well, so be sure to check that out. Comment below what other paddles you'd like to see me review, or if there's any other videos that you'd like to see me do. And until next time, I'll see you later.